I'm bored. So like anybody when they're bored, I'm starting to tinker. And if you're wondering why I'm bored, I feel like we did this last year. It's been snowing for about a full day now, and I mean, we haven't got a ton, but it's blowing really bad, and I'm stuck inside and I'm getting a little bit restless. Lady Devil's off visiting family, so I was just kind of sitting in the house being bored, and I was starting to think about stuff that I could do to pass the time a little bit. And one thing that's been annoying me is when I get home from work on my street bob, I gotta get off, punch the garage code button, and then get back on the bike, ride it in. So I thought, what the hell? There's nothing else to do. Let's try to figure out how to put a garage door opener on the street bob. So that's what I'm doing today. So here's where I'm at right now. I took my garage remote apart, and it's relatively simple. There's your micro switch for opening and closing the door. So I thought, oh hell, this will be easy. I'll just throw my ohm meter on there and hit the button, and whichever it ohms out, or wherever I get continuity, it would open. Well, it's not the case. So I don't know. There's a little microchip on there, so I'm guessing that's for the rolling code security feature. But what I have already done is I took a jumper wire and put it across both of those pins, and the door opened up. And I did it on this side as well, there and there, and the door closed. So it's working like a normal switch. I just don't know why it doesn't have continuity when I do that. It's kind of strange. I'm not an electronics guru, but the jumper wire works. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna solder a wire. Take your battery out first. I'm going to solder a wire on the back side of here and here, one on each side of those pins, which is going to be, on those pins there. So I'm just going to put a wire on each one, and then I have this, it's just a momentary switch. It's relatively small, as you can tell by my finger. I have this one at home already, so I'm going to try to make it work. It is not waterproof, so maybe down in the future I will try to find one that's waterproof and put it on there, but I'm going to try to mount it under my seat, kinda, so the water shouldn't get to it easily, I guess. But yeah, that's what we're going to use, and if you guys want to do this mod, I'll try to find one on Amazon and throw a link in the description of one that'll work. But it's just a momentary 12-volt switch. You could even do a toggle switch if you want it, but the momentary part is it's making contact, it's not making contact. It doesn't latch. So if you get a latching one, it's going to it'll be like you're just holding down the button on the garage door remote, and you don't want that. So get a momentary switch. I have some wire laying around in my toolbox. Camera died. But while it died, I realized I don't have my wire in there. So the only thing I could find was some old Ethernet cable I used to wire my last house. But it's a copper wire, it'll work. I'm just gonna cut off a couple feet, and there's like 8 wires in here, so you're only gonna need 2. So I think I'm going to just split the sheathing back, and rather than try to fish the whole thing in the bike, I'll just cut off what I need. Any wire's gonna work. It's only a 3-volt system, but I got orange and white, so that's gonna be our 2 wires. I also heated up my soldering iron while the battery was dead. But anyway, what we're gonna do here is, see if I can zoom in on this. Put a little bit of solder on my soldering iron. And then to get this stuff to stick, it's not gonna matter which wire goes to which prong here. So as you can see, it's not my best soldering job, but that's all it is. I just soldered them to those 2 pins on the back. They hold pretty good. So I think what I'm gonna do is just wrap some tape around here just to kind of hold them in place, and we'll go from there. Like yay. So then what you're gonna wanna do is, since you have your wires poking out your board there, you're gonna wanna set your board in your case and kind of notch out, put a little notch where your wires come out. You can either use like a side cutter, or you could also use a Dremel, which I'm gonna do. Throw on some sexy glasses here. I cut it a little big, but it'll be fine. I actually have my garage door unplugged right now because if I hit this button, it's gonna open and close it. So probably a good thing to do. So that snaps in. Got your notch cut out, snap it in. So that's what it looks like together. I'm going to leave this button out because where I put it in the bike, I don't want this to accidentally get bumped all the time. It'll run the battery down. So I guess we'll go out and try to figure out where to put it in the bike, and we'll run the wire through and figure out how long we need it before we solder the wires onto the switch. Okay, we're in the other garage with the little heater going again, and this is what I mean by unplugging the garage door. I just unplugged it from the ceiling because those motors overheat really quick and you don't want that button opening and closing. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to plug that back in now that I'm done soldering, and touch my wires together just to make sure the door opens. I'll touch my 2 wires together and hopefully the door will come open. Bam! I'm going to stop it because it's 7 degrees out. So we know our wires are working. Before I go threading them through, I'm going to cut my stripped ends off one more time until we get it fished in and ready to go. So I'm looking for a place to put it, and I think I can just set it down there. I'm going to wrap some tape around this just to protect that button a little bit so it doesn't get accidentally pressed if this is rattling around in there. It would be nice to secure it to these other wires, but I don't think I can get in there. I might be able to get a zip tie or something, but we'll see what happens. So what I ended up doing is taping the entire thing, and I taped the end of the wire. See if I can get it to focus. Just for water resistance in under the seat. It shouldn't get too much water in there, but any kind of splashing and stuff, that'll at least protect it a little bit. So I'm just going to drop that sucker down in there. And actually, if I kind of wedge it between the battery and the frame, it's kind of holding pretty good. So now I just have to figure out where I'm going to put my button. And I'm kind of thinking maybe I can put a bolt in here with a little bracket. Thread this wire through. So make sure you leave a little extra slack. I had to kind of bend that wire around to get it out of the frame there. So now you need to kind of figure out what sort of bracket you want to make. I could do, you could, if you have a mill or something, you could probably mill a good bracket or weld something together. I have plumbing strap, I think. So I'm gonna go look for that, and I think I can just bend it around and we'll see how that works. Yep, I have a new thing of plumbing strap. Thankfully, this is why I never throw anything away or take anything back, because eventually I'm gonna need it for something. So I'm thinking what I can do, let me get the camera worked around here. I'm thinking I can just put that on there, and then hopefully this is wide enough to mount that switch to it. We'll see. Okay, what I found was my old seat bolt from my Street Bob, which has got 1/4 20 threads. And then I found a lock washer, I'm just trying to use stuff that I have around the house because I don't want to leave in the snowstorm. So if you have to go to the hardware store and you get stuff, if you get some plumbing strap, this 1/4-20 will fit in there. If you're wondering why I removed the battery, I'm trying to get better access to this hole up here. All right, now I'm gonna kind of set the seat on and see where I can put that. I'm just kind of mocking everything up so I don't get in the way of anything. So it's looking like I have pretty much all of this room to work with. So I think I'm gonna kind of bend it down and just kind of put it right here under the seat. So I'm actually gonna cut this probably right here, which is going to be a little long, but it'll let me kind of set it where I want it, and then I can tighten it up. I'm probably going to have to drill it out to get the switch in. I'm going to put it right here, but I have to drill it to the size of the switch. Well, I can't find my step bits, so we're just going to use these. So there's my button. But what I need to do first before I get mounting it, I need to cut this down a little bit. It's not soldering worth a shit, so I'm going to try to squeeze these down and try to get these so they'll fit onto that. This is a solid wire, so I'm not sure if I'll have any trouble with it breaking, but we're going to find out. I'm sure all you electricians and electronics guys are going, what the hell is this guy doing? If I had some stranded wire, I think this would probably work better, but so the thing I need to do is kind of, I'm going to pinch this just a little tighter on both sides. And with any luck, it'll slide onto here nice and tight. Actually, that feels pretty good. That one's got solder all over it because I tried to solder it, but it'll just hold it a little tighter. I'm gonna wrap some tape around here. And I'm gonna go clear down to where it connects, kind of give that sort of a little better seal. Wish I had some heat shrink, but I don't. All right, so that's my switch with my garage door on the end of it. So I'm actually gonna put this back in here, or just kind of wedge it between these wires so it holds. Somebody's been in here before because most of these connections are mess with. But yeah, I'm just going to kind of sink that sucker in there, and then this will come through here, connect to that. This switch came with a little nut that'll kind of hold it onto this plumbing strap. So before I cut this off and position this like in its final place, I'm going to put my battery tray back in, and probably the battery, and then I can kind of trim that to fit. Cut the sharp edges off. So that's kind of what it looks like. I'm probably going to wrap some rubber around this, so if it to kind of give it some wobble resistance. I'm not sure what I'm going to use yet, but I might take some like heater hose or some fuel line or something and just kind of split it down the side and then just kind of wrap it around. I'm not sure, but I think that's going to work pretty good. So let's hook that thing back up and see if it actually works. Fingers crossed this works. Well, there's proof that it worked. I still got to secure everything underneath, battery and all that, hook the battery up. But our little project for the day worked. But for now, it's 36 degrees in this garage, so I'm gonna go warm up a little bit and then I'll come back and clean up and do all that. But hopefully you got some use out of this video. If you like what you see, please hit the subscribe button and hit the bell so you get notifications. I'd really appreciate it. And throw a like on the video if you want. You can also follow me on my Instagram and my Facebook if you're curious of my day-to-day stuff. And we'll see you in the next video. What's going on here? Get in the fucking hole. Speaking of the battery, I should probably put that in the remote.
Oh, I can't do that. Are you stupid?